So let's see how this this works. Glued up overnight with a little bit of tension on it. That was good. It didn't pop anyway. And yeah, there it is, glued. Looks fine. Looks fine. I'm going to proceed, clean this up, and today I think I'll get a little bit of a finished sand after I round this edge and put some more putty in the underside, do a final sand on it, and be ready, I guess, for tomorrow to put the first coat of shellac on it. We'll see. Alright, so I've got this, I'm working my way in. I think I've got this pretty well brought down to my imaginary line. It's a little thicker here than I want, so I'm going to do that. And I've got a little bit of a lump right there. And as you can imagine, a teeny bit of struggle going from this surface to this curve. But that's not awful. I think for the most part this is good. So I've got some 80, I think maybe 100 grit paper in this. Anyway, I'm going to try to address these issues. I'm not going to worry about this for the moment. And I'm getting ready to get to 120 grit sandpaper. 120 grit is the gateway to putting the first coat of shellac on. When I get to the 120, I'm going to want this whole edge rounded. But until I get my edges down the way I want them, I'm not going to round that. So let's see. That looks terrific. Yeah, it would be nice to be able to do some of this with some sort of hand tool that was a little bit more positive in what it was doing, but here we are. It's still a little thick there. You can see I've got a pencil line there and I'm not quite on it. It wouldn't be as big a deal if this wasn't so thin right here. Oh geez, I gotta go after it. I've got to. Okay, I've got a piece of wood that I'm putting in the hollow part so I don't crush this thing when I clamp it. That's the dream. Alright, so back to this. I got to get it down 1/16 of an inch. I'm happier now. I'm happier now. Thanks for staying with me on that one. Alright, now I'll do this again. Yeah, life's not perfect, but that's lots better. Alright, now this end. This end, if you recall, is the one that I split. Hopefully I won't do that again. I've got a pad underneath it now, so I hopefully won't. Alright. Split's gone. Alright. Good. Whoa. Didn't see that coming. Alright, back to this. This has all gone pretty darn well. I've got one little spot right there that's a little bit high. I'm just going to mark next to it. I think I'm going to sand that spot right there a little bit more. And then I'm going to do a quick, get the pencil marks off the bottom. Then it's by hand, go around with a lighter grit paper and try to round this edge. because I need it round. Alright, I know I was going to wait on the pencil marks on the bottom, but turns out I didn't. I don't know. With that, wow, I'd say that's it. Round it out. You know, I've been thinking about these worm tracks, and on the underside of this thing, I don't think it matters. They're kind of, I mean, I won't say they're attractive, but they kind of fit in with the theme. Yeah, I'm going to do some rounding. I'm going to start out with this. This is hard, and then go to another grit. And then I'll probably finish up with a hand sander. Anyway, see how this goes. Well, that's pretty exciting. That is pretty exciting. I could I'm going to go around this with some 100 grit sandpaper, some 100 hand paper, and I could be done. I mean, why make this last any longer than it has to? Let's do that. All right. Well, that's pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. Yeah, all right. I think it's shellac time. I think I'm done. Go for shellac. Let's see what that looks like. Need a pin board to set it on, like that. See? It's gonna be so easy. All right, let's I'll wipe this down, and I'll get another bucket of shellac and a brush. Not that the wiping down matters much, because the shellac is going to make all of the loose particles float to the surface. But it's a place to start. You know the drill here. I want to do both sides at the same time, which means that I have to make sure I don't get drips around the edge, because they really show up. So let's I don't know what to think. I got to get this in the air. I don't want to pick up crap from the bench. This is how it's going to have to go. Let's get some shellac. Ooh, shellac. Great. And now all right. So amber shellac. It's going to be beautiful. to get the color that I want, I'm probably going to throw 2 coats of the amber shellac on this. Might be 3. Depends how it goes. Sanding in between, you can imagine, means that you're not always certain. The first sanding, I might cut through the shellac finish. I sometimes do. So, could end up, I mean, sometimes the second coat evens it all up and everything looks fine. And after the sanding on the second coat, you have enough of uniformity to the finish, because the second coat you don't sand through to the wood again. Typically, you don't create problems so significant that you end up down to the wood again. So you get a reasonable surface, but this is kind of rough. But look how wonderfully dark the wormholes get, and the crap that the worms leave in them. This is kind of exciting. Now, this will have wormholes on one side, the sapwood side, and then where the crotch is, where that pressured grain is, that will be naturally darker because of the tannins in the wood. So we'll have dark wormholes on one side and dark wood in the grain on the other side. Pretty exciting. If you recall, I did some filling on this thing so I wouldn't have holes on this side. So we'll see how that filler behaves with the shellac. Supposedly, this particular filler will stain up, in quotes, like wood. I mean, wood's the only thing that's like wood, but similar to wood. So, are you getting this? This is looking pretty exciting. I'm going to have my drip over the edges thing, I'm sure. That drives me crazy. I don't know about you. Before I park this thing, I'm going to have to flip it over and see the other side. I hate stuff like that. Oh, well, here we go. Like that. Yeah, see, this is why I do that. See the excess there? I don't want that. It's really only going to be a problem on this coat, I think. Subsequent coats, it's not the same. You don't get that, opportunity for absorption, heavier absorption, I think. Anyway, well, this isn't awful. Came out pretty well in terms of color and contact. And now I'm going to put it over on the pin board. I don't even know. I guess I'll grab it from this side. Okay. Now, fingerprint patrol. Love that. Good, good, good. Loving it. Loving it. Cool. All right. That gets set to side. And we'll see what it looks like tomorrow. The stuff dries really fast. I know it does. But I also know that that it's going to gum up my sandpaper. And the longer I wait, the harder it gets, the more of the alcohol evaporates, and the less my sandpaper balls up, and I really like that. So tomorrow is a good happy medium between how long I don't want to wait forever, and I'd like to get this thing moved along, and I don't want to ruin all my sandpaper. The game, right? Everything's about the game. Anyway, this is to here. Thanks for watching. It's going to get easier from this point, I'm pretty sure. Cool. Oh yeah, so I have an old bucket with about that much shellac on the bottom of it, and I don't clean the brushes. I just throw them back in the bucket. That's my bucket that I'm working out of. But this right here keeps the brushes so I don't have to clean them. Good. All right. So we'll do more tomorrow. Thanks for coming along on this one. It's fun doing an adventure when you're outside of your normal processes, you know, and you wonder, what can I do with this piece of wood? What can I do to make this more interesting? And this is a thing. This is great. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Wear dirty clothes. I'm going to do some finishing. So next day, worked out real well. Finished, set up, seems like it's set up pretty nicely. Got some nail scratches. It's the bottom. It's the bottom. So what I want to do is obviously get rid of that nail scratch. Good enough. That is it is remarkably smooth. I keep telling you that this is the way to make things smooth, right? Is to shellac them, because one of the things that always screws with us on the wood are the fibers. You can wet them and make them stand up by being wetted, but nothing fixes them like this. Well, for me anyway, like a coat of shellac. I'm putting this in the center so I won't push down too hard and break it. Anyway, I'm going to go around and get the bottom of this thing into a condition. Now you can imagine, you can see how many different colors there are, how varied the wood is, how the wormholes, the filled wormholes, the empty wormholes, places that I cut too deep, all of these things. I'm going to over sand in places. Remember, I knew this. This isn't a surprise. There's some things that I knew I was going to have a problem with, and I wanted to put more than one coat of shellac on. And that's why. So here we go. I'm going to take a minute and go around this thing and get it into what I consider to be, you know, ready to move on condition. I'm going to sand this coat of shellac heavily, right? This isn't what I usually do. I don't usually have things in this kind of rough condition when I get the first coat of finish on, but I was using the shellac to stop that fuzziness that I was getting. Also, it will have a tendency, a little bit here and there, to sort of fix some of the dust that the worms left in their holes, which means I'll have fewer holes in this thing if I can keep that dust in. And this is a highly varied piece of wood. I mean, there's all kinds of differences in grain and grain direction in it. So it's all going to work differently, sand differently. And I guess part of this is my own damn fault for doing the shaping with a sander. I mean, I didn't use tools, edge tools, to shape this thing. I used a sander. So everything is in some kind of sanded condition. Fibers, lots of fibers. All right, I'm going to leave this pile of little blemishes right here, I believe. Okay, I'm not. I'm going to get a sander, you knew that, and I'm going to see if I can sand that out a little bit. Lots of little marks that I don't really think are great. Some there also. Let me go do that. Let me get a sander out here. I hope I don't hate myself in a couple of minutes. So I got some 150 on this, I think. Yep. Fresh piece. Should cut pretty well. All right. There's still a couple of little blems here, but they aren't from the sanding. Maybe a little bit. Right there. Better. All right. Now I've got a spot right here. That's pretty good. Better. Better. All right, so that's good. Now you can see what I'm doing though. I'm bringing this back to day one. When I put the next coat of shellac on, it'll behave in these two spots like the first coat. That's how that's going to be. Now the inside, I have some of those spots also. So this is going to be an issue. So at some places I'm going to have one coat, and some places I'm going to have two coats. Because I've got to put a coat, I can't, well, never thought about just putting a spot on. Never thought about that. I don't think I'm going to. Not so much think about it, but I don't think I'm going to do that. That's not really where I may as well take the advantage of having that extra bit of color. I see where you're going though. It sort of doesn't make any sense, does it? If I'm going to develop extra color in one area and not in another, where's the good in that? Yeah, all right. Something to think about. I don't have long to think about it. Because I'm flying through this thing. I think I'm just going to wash another coat on the whole thing, and if I have a couple of spots that don't look right tomorrow, I'll just touch them up. That's what I think. We'll see if I follow through with that, because I can change my mind. Anyway, the inside of this is, pretty terrible, but it's pretty consistent. I don't think I have a problem color-wise. Boy, the shellac really does its job, though. This is powdered baby butt sort of smooth. Still, it's one day, and I'm picking up little bits of the finished little clogs on my paper. It's not awful, but it does happen even after a day. So that whole dries to touch in 15 minutes it's nice. But under the heading of dries to touch, that's the only thing you can really do with it is touch it. You can't sand it or put another coat of anything on. All right, that's that. This is mission accomplished. I feel like little George Bush. That's great. All right, so quick wipe down, grab some shellac and give it another coat, and we'll be ready for another kind of adventure tomorrow. This is, I know this is rough. This isn't fine work here. This is taking a crappy piece of wood and doing something to make it look exciting. Not good, just exciting. All right, put this back in. All right, grab some shellac, be right with you. All right, it's shellac time. Got this wiped down. Got some of my favorite amber shellac. Don't have a pegboard, a nail board. I'm going to have to work on that in just a minute. I always ask myself if I notice a difference on the second coat. It seems like I do. It is a kind of a little bit of a drag on the first coat that I sort of feel. But I could be kidding myself. Anyway, this is going on pretty nicely. I'm getting a little bit of bubbly, but I don't care because I'm going to sand it all off. That's a thing that you hear me say a lot. Don't worry about that because I'm going to sand it all off. Well, I'm not going to sand it all off, but I'll sand off any of the bubbles. Yeah, you can see these two spots that I sanded down to bare wood are definitely lighter. Definitely lighter. I think by the time I put the next coat on, that will be going away though. There's that. So because I sanded through the shellac on the back and those two spots, I am going to, I'm pretty certain I'm going to put a third coat on. Let's just go with, you know, pretty certain. I mean, at the moment I'm sure, but that, what does that mean, right? Anyway, that means that I don't have to worry too much about coverage. I don't have to worry about much of anything. I can just slop it on. There are some spots, there's some spots that you wish would, you know, would take a little bit better or color a little bit more. But like this right here seems to streak out. Third coat will even it up even more. I've been doing this for a while, this kind of finish, this amber shellac as a base underneath a lot of finishes. I've been doing it enough that the kids at home sort of have developed a taste for the color. A lot of my stuff is this color, right? So this was an actual request. Make something that had that same amber tone as another piece of this copper beech that I had worked. Anyway, so there's that. This is humble. It's humble, but it's got some character. All right, that's that. Pack it up. And we'll see what it looks like tomorrow. I'll bet it's going to be great. I'll bet it's going to be great. Love it. Thanks for watching. We'll oh God, we'll clean up a little bit tomorrow. It'll never happen. Okay, well, I think I've been sanding on this for a minute or two, and I think that's all I need to do on this right now. And this is now ready for its third coat of shellac on some parts and second coat on others, but you know the drill on that. Anyway, this is light, this is light, we knew that. But this is going to unify it all. It's going to be great. Let me get some shellac down here. Okay, so this, you know, I know this is like watching paint dry, but I just thought you'd want to see, you know, me telling you, you know, this is what I'm saying. I'm putting 3 coats of shellac on, and I guess not that I don't think you trust me, but you know, may as well see it. Now, as you know, the trick here, I tell you the same thing every time. Be careful you don't get any bad overlaps. Trying to get as much as I can of the edge from the back, so they don't have to, you know, reach around from the front and end up with drips. Now, some of this would be made a lot simpler if I just put a coat on the front and then later put a coat on the back, but there's still that overlap at the edge. So there's that. That's great. I got, okay, I'm going to do this. Got my pin board here. Slide that over and do that. Cool. This, even with the little bubbles that I let get in it because I brushed so quickly, this really knocked down very quickly, very easily. Pretty happy. And the third coat of shellac, I mean, in some worlds, I guess could be the finish coat. But I'm interested in getting a coat of tung oil on it, maybe 2. This should take care of all my color and uniformity of finish. Good. Certainly take care of those 2 spots on the back that I sanded through again. Anyway, there it is. That looks great. So this will dry, and tomorrow, the next day, light sanding, and then tung oil varnish. We'll see it. It's gonna be great. All right, hey boys and girls. So here we are, another day. Third coat of amber shellac has landed. Been doing a little sanding. I've got some 220 sandpaper. This isn't all of it. And now, here's the thing, boy. I didn't do a very good job. I didn't get this smooth. Some places I sanded deeper than others. I use these flap sanding tools. They made lines in them. You can see these lines right here. And then the other thing that happens with sanding is this right here is varying hard densities of wood along this edge. This is that crotch area. And in the process of sanding, I've, you know, gone deep in soft areas and run up on hard spots, and so it's just a variety of different surfaces. It all undulates back and forth, and they're all different kinds of colors from the amount of shellac that got absorbed in one spot or got puddled into another. It's just not very good in terms of, you know, good woodworking. But this is a fun looking thing. And as this is just a very tough piece of wood, wormholes and distortions and whatnot, it's kind of nifty. And I think I'm going to go with this. It's ready for tongue oil. It's the time. I'm going to wipe probably 2 coats of tongue oil on this, and that will give it a little bit of depth to the color. Maybe make some of the variations. Going on too far. I'm being way too philosophical about this. So just say, well, got to here. I don't want to quit. I don't want to call this a piece of firewood. So let's get it finished. Let's get it a couple of coats of varnish on it, and take it home. We'll put candles on it or something. Anyway, wipe it down. I'm going to wipe the shellac, tongue oil varnish. I'm going to wipe it on with a rag. Actually, I'm going to wipe it on with a paper towel. It'll be fine. Let's do that. Let's get this up in the air a little bit. That. We'll get to the edge. Good. All right. Be right back. All right, here we go. It's going to be super. Not everything has to be museum quality. I guess really what it comes down to. Whoa. Now the trick with this, by wiping it on, I can make sure I get it everywhere. It's a small enough piece that I don't get lost on it. And I can make sure that I have an even coat, because the wiping, it's only going to deposit so much. What I like to think about, I don't quite do it, but what I like to think about with the wiping is that I'm wiping it to the point that it's almost all wiped off. It's not. I know that. But I feel like I've wiped it past. When you brush, you can put quite a bit on a load of brush and put quite a bit on with a brush stroke. The wiping, there's no liquid. It's all absorbed into this thing, so I'm just transferring it from this absorption to a film on the surface. So it won't drip. In other words, I won't have the problem of drips going around the edge. When I flip this over and put it on the pin board, I won't be worried about having drips going off the edge, getting over the corner. When you brush it on, I frequently have that problem. Not going to happen to me today. That's that. That's about it. That little bit I will do the whole surface on this. That's that. Now with this as thin as it is, there's another consequence to that, which is that this will dry hard in less than a day. So when I get here tomorrow, this will be all set for sanding and hopefully another coat. So if you remember, I put my fingers on the underside, so I'll get that. Get that. Now I get some fingerprints on the top, and I'll just wipe across them. All right, and that's that. Done. Throw the rag in the fireplace. I'm really happy. All right, one durable coat, ready to dry. Okay, so I've sanded that coat of tung oil, and with 220 sandpaper, got almost no action at all out of it. Just made it smooth. Didn't tear through anything. It's, you know, smooth for something that looks like this. Anyway, another coat of tung oil coming up. Rub to the point that it's almost dry to the touch. Close to perfection. Set this aside. See you again tomorrow. So, it's come to this. Crappy day, decided to stay home, decided it was time to, this is dry, decided time to put the final coat of wax and buff it down. And, you know, I'm using store brand wax these days, or no, official Minwax wax. There you go. I don't know what that makes it. But this is a final treatment for most everything that I do is wax, steel wool, and then we'll buff. Pretty simple process. The tung oil really just does such a good job of sealing the wood, giving it that last little bit of color. It will buff extremely well. And any little bits of, you know the story, atmospheric dust will get taken off by the steel wool. Wax serving as a lubricant. That is so good. This is so irregular in its surface. This is such a caveman project. But as much as it's irregular, the piece of wood is, you know, it's irregular too. This is a great finish for that. That should be it. I mean, there's not much else to do. Wax on. And now we'll do, you know, wax off. Gosh, that's left an impression, huh? Wow. See that shine? As irregular as this is, it's still shining now. That's great. think. I haven't put a stamp on this, my little wood burning stamp. I'll do that next time I get to the shop and I'm doing some other stuff. It takes a while to heat up, so I didn't bother to do it to bring this home. But I thought I'd get it done so I could show you guys what I've done, guys and gals. Anyway, there it is. One kind of a caveman chic sort of thing to do with a crappy piece of wood you can't think of anything else to do with. But it'll be great. We'll put we'll display rocks in it. It'll be beautiful. Anyway, loving the rocks. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking with me on this thing. I told you I was going to get it done, and I did. I didn't tell you how absolutely drop dead gorgeous it was going to be, but you know, you can see that for yourselves. Anyway, thanks for watching. Catch ya. Gonna go do something else now.